Right, so this video is a help video for the Two Roses, which is from the Grade 1 Violin book. Okay, so I know that I've got several pupils working on this piece at the moment. I know that some of them I think can play it all the way through already, and some are still working on it, and that's absolutely fine. This video will help, hopefully should be a help for all of those children. And of course any others that I don't teach. Hello. Right, okay, so the first thing I want to say about this piece is that if you have bought the CD that Trinity releases that has performance tracks of all of the pieces in the book, they do it for every grade, and on the CD they have the violin and the piano performance, and then they have the piano only so you can play along. So if you've bought that, or like me, you're accessing it on the computer, you're streaming the tracks. I use Apple Music, but it's on Spotify, etc., other things as well. If you type in Trinity Grade 1 Violin, you should find it. So if you've either got the CD or you're accessing it like that, and you've had a listen to it, you might have got a bit of a shock because it's really, really quick. Now, Trinity, in my opinion, always play their pieces a little bit on the quick side, and I think even by the exam you don't really have to go quite as quick as the CD says. So what I'm going to do today is, after I've talked a little bit about the Two Roses, I'm going to play it through for you at a speed which I think is a sensible speed for practicing and for trying to get it perfect. So in terms of doing the exam, I would say it probably will need to go a bit quicker than how I'm going to play it today. So if you grab your Grade 1 music and you turn it to the Two Roses, so you've got it in front of you like I have, then I can talk a little bit through it, through the music, and we can talk about what some of the signs, symbols and the words mean. Okay, so at the beginning we have the word scherzando written on the music. Now this is Italian for like a light, jokey sort of feel. So when you play the Two Roses, you need to try to get that across, that it sounds light and jokey and playful, etc. Okay. Next thing is we've got lots of bowings written on there. You should know your down bow and up bow sign, so I'm not going to talk about that. But we also have lots of other things just on that first line. So underneath and over some of the notes we've got little dots. So those are staccatos. Staccato is Italian for short and spiky. So when you play these, you should be using a little tiny bit of bow, and your bow should be coming off the string just a little bit. This is an example of some staccato bowing. So hopefully you could see that my bow was coming off the string a little bit and is making quite a short, spiky sound. We also have some slurs written on the music. Just to remind you, that just means that we have to play two notes in one bow. Okay. Also, we have some vertical lines written below and above some of the notes. Now this is a tenuto. This means tenuto. Tenuto is Italian for holding the note for the full amount. Okay, so it just means you need to give those notes their full note value. So they usually appear on a one beat note, so it means that you need to make sure it's a full one beat note. Sometimes with a tenuto it means as well to play it a little bit more forcefully, so you can try and play it a little bit louder as well. Okay, moving on, we have quite a lot of dynamics written on the music. Now if you've not heard me use that word before, dynamics, it means the volume of the music. I'm hoping at this point you have all heard me talk about the volume of the music. So if you see an F, F is Italian, stands for forte, which is Italian for loud. If you see a P, P stands for piano, which is Italian for quiet or softly is the direct translation. So F is loud, P is quiet or soft. If you see an M before those letters, the M stands for mezzo, and mezzo is Italian for moderately, but medium is an easier word to remember. So at the beginning it says MP, so that means medium quiet, okay? We also have the word dim written a couple of times. So dim is short for diminuendo, and diminuendo means you gradually get quieter. Right, we also have, I think, in the, where's the first one that comes up? The last bar of the fifth line, which is actually bar 20, you can see some numbers at the side of the music, and those numbers tell you what bar we're on. So it's actually bar 20. We get a little like that, an upside down V. Now that means it's like an accent, and you have to press a bit harder to get a bit more sound out. Oh, I think I've forgotten as well, in bar 10, which is the second bar of the third line, we've also got little arrows which look like that, and those are also accents. They just basically do the same thing. You just need to bow a little bit harder to get a bit more sound out. Now on the last line there's quite a lot to talk about. So first of all, we've got the word rit. Now rit is short for ritenuto. Ritenuto means slow down. So over those first 2 bars of the last line, you should be slowing down. And then at the end of the second bar, we have a sign which looks like a little rainbow with a dot in the middle of it. Now that is a pause. Now what a pause means in music is that you literally can pause for a sec. There's no specific amount of time that you should pause for. So in those 2 bars, what will happen is you'll slow down and then you sort of come to a stop, and then off you go again. And when you go again for the last 2 bars, it says our tempo above the first couple of notes, which means go back to the speed that you were at the beginning. So you don't carry on with the slow speed, you jump back to your original speed and you play the last 2 bars. In the second bar of the last line, you've got a 4th finger. Now, you may have done 4th finger already, we may have started it, we may not have done, but we'll talk about that quickly now. So when you play your 4th finger, the 4th finger makes the same note as the next open string up. So if I play, show you, be easier if I show you. So if I play from my A string up to my E string, it will sound like this. That's absolutely fine, that's what we normally do. Now, instead of the open A, we are going to use our pinky instead, okay? So this is what it should sound like. And that note should be the same as the open E. Like that, okay? Now, it's really tricky. We don't do 4th finger until we get to grade 1 because it's really tricky. So I'm going to just talk to you about why it's tricky, because then you'll understand a bit more about what you need to do to be able to do it correctly. So the reason 4th finger is so tricky, a number of reasons. First of all, it's our weakest finger. Okay, you know that, you know pinky's our weakest finger. It's our shortest finger. And when you hold your violin on your shoulder, then you'll find that your pinky is the furthest away from your fingerboard. So you have to really stretch a lot to get it there. Now, next thing is, you may well not have a sticker for your 4th finger. So let me explain to you where your 4th finger should go. So if you look at your violin, I know I don't on mine, but if you look on your violin, you should have your stickers for your 1st, 2nd and 3rd fingers. So if you look, you'll see that your 1st finger and your 2nd finger are quite a big gap apart, and your 3rd finger goes next to your 2nd. It's a small gap. We definitely would have talked about that in your lesson at some point. Okay, so we've got a big gap between 1 and 2, small gap between 2 and 3. Now the gap between 3 and 4 is a big gap. So as you look at your stickers, you will see that the distance between your 1st and 2nd sticker, that has got to be the distance between your 3rd and your 4th finger. So if you notice, while I've got my fingers down, you can see my 1st, 2nd and 3rd finger are nicely curved over the string, but my 4th finger is having to stretch so much, it's basically gone straight, and it's such a big stretch. So when you try and do your 4th finger, first things first, try and stretch as far as you possibly can. So really, really far, because if you do that, you'll be on the right lines. The next thing to say is that if you are squashing bob, you absolutely will not be able to do your 4th finger correctly. You cannot stretch it if your wrist is up, okay? I cannot make my 4th finger go any further than that. Now, if I drop my wrist down, suddenly I can stretch all that way, okay? One more thing that you can do to help you if you think that you still can't stretch enough, because it is really hard, is that you can bring this elbow in towards you, okay? So at the moment my elbow is just dangling underneath, hanging I should say, underneath my violin. But if I want to stretch my 4th finger, if I bring my elbow into me, I can stretch it much further, okay, than if I do there, okay? It makes life easier, you can stretch it more. So if you do that, so into you, not out like a chicken. We don't want to play the violin. You can see that doesn't look right. Okay, so if you bring it in, you'll find that you can stretch it more, but you might find that your arm does hurt a little bit. Afraid to say that's one of those things. But you only need to bring it in for the fourth finger, then you can just put it back again to where you normally play. Okay, so we're going to play it through now at a nice sensible speed. I'm going to count in 2 bars. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 1, 2, and then I'll start playing. And that means that if you want to play along with me, it means that you can come in exactly with me. Okay, so all the right notes, lovely posture, don't squash bob, all the right bowings and fingers on stickers making a lovely sound. Okay, here we go then. So 1, 2, 1, 2.